This is New Zealand's pivotal match in pool play at Delhi 2010. It's England on court against the Silver Ferns. This match determining top spot in Pool B at these Commonwealth Games. In recent times, the English have been a bogey team for the Ferns, but through history, over the 71 times the two have clashed, England has just 3 victories. With me in the hot seat today, former Silver Fern Tanya Dalton. And Tanya, no doubt this English side believes that it can notch up win number 4 against the New Zealanders today.
Yeah, this English side, they are confident. Look, they've even got the gold splattered along their dress. They've got a lot of depth in this side, all areas of court. 7 of this squad have played in the ANZ Champs, so I guess that feeling of playing against the Silver Ferns, it's not such a daunting task because they've played a number of these girls before. Let's
talk about perspective though, because 4 of those players that you mentioned really have only played bit parts. Karen Atkinson, the co-captain, she played for the West Coast Fever briefly. Jade Clark, only really a stint for the Magic in the past few weeks of this competition. Rachel Dunn, a brief stint for the Canterbury Tactics, and then Tamsin Greenway, who didn't play in ANZ this year. It's the others though, isn't it? The Jiva Mentors, the Sonia McClomas. They're dangerous.
They are, and the Silver Ferns, you know, they would have pinpointed this area of court. This is where it's going to be the toughest task for them. In saying that, we've got the world's best shooter, Irene van Dijk, against them. She's come up against Jiva Mentor plenty of times. They'll have to, I think, move that ball with great speed down there, because anything aerial, Mentor and McCloma have a real ability at coming up for those balls.
So from their foe to the Ferns, and Tanya, we've watched them in both of their pool games so far. There's some really ominous signs, encouraging stuff from all of the combinations that the Silver Ferns coach Ruth Aikens put out on court.
Yeah, and I guess for Aitken, she must be extremely happy with this, because whatever's gone out, there certainly hasn't been any slumps in the Silver Ferns performance. So really hard to pick the starting 7 for this Silver Ferns side, because any one of these girls are capable of starting.
Well, it's a tough pool, is this pool of the Commonwealth Games, but to be honest, New Zealand's biggest foe is the team they face today. As we take a look now at the top scorers for this tournament, there's been plenty of competition and plenty of blowouts. That won't happen today. The New Zealand chef de mission, Dave Curry, has brought a gaggle of Kiwi supporters. In fact, about a quarter of a stand on the other side of the ground from our commentary position is filled with Kiwis. Plenty of English here too, but those New Zealand supporters, Tanya, they'll make a big difference for the Ferns.
Well, I think this shows just the importance of this game for the Silver Ferns. This is the one they've been targeting heading into the Commonwealth Games. This is the big pool match. We know that England have been a bit of a bogey side, but yeah, a real big one, and great to see so much support.
2 Australian umpires for this exchange, Sharon Kelly and Rachel Eyre. So familiarity for both sides. Both of these umpires are familiar with the ANZ Championship players, so good to see that we probably won't have a curveball thrown in from an umpiring perspective.
Yeah, and this will, without doubt, work in the Silver Ferns' favour, having umpires that they can relate to, that have umpired their style before, so it's certainly a big one.
One of the talking points for England, Tanya, they're here without their coach, Sue Hawkins, who isn't at this Commonwealth Games for personal reasons, and that will be costly.
Look, they've had a bit of a mixed bag of a build-up. Sue Hawkins not here. Kendra Savinsky, who was their assistant coach, pulled out a few months ago. So been a bit of a tough ride for this English side. Maggie Jackson, you know, she seems to have a good rapport with the players, but from what I have seen of this English side in the first 2 games, I don't know, there's just something, I don't think they've hit their straps yet, but in saying that, hey, what will they bring out today?
Well, the recent history that we talked about, Tanya, of the last 5 wrangles between these two, the English have won 2, and their last confrontation went to extra time, which was back in October last year. So the Ferns really pulled a rabbit out of the hat to win that one, and that does spell danger.
Yeah, it does, but for the Silver Ferns, this is what they train for, these big games. This is a big challenge. They know the English side, they know them inside out. They would have studied the videos and their set plays and all that, and this is what it's about. So I know, talking to some of the Silver Fern girls, that they're excited. This is the first big judder, you'd say, in their campaign.
It's also one of the great things about a Commonwealth Games tournament, because you yourself know, you've played at a World Championships. You don't get big pool games at a World Champs, so fantastic in this draw to have a clash of this calibre at this stage of the competition.
Yeah, and I guess you say for both sides, you know, they've had two relatively easy games, they've had a day off, and now the big clash. I think the thing in England's favour, they had probably a little bit tougher match against South Africa. They came up 54-36 against them, so probably were pushed a bit more than the likes of the Silver Ferns.
Yes, just confirming in the lead in, England were 81-20 over Barbados. South Africa was their second opponent, 54-36, as Tanya mentioned. For New Zealand, game one, 102-21 against Papua New Guinea, and then 87-24 against the Cook Islands. So a couple of absolute romps for the Silver Ferns, but they made the most of their time on court.
Yeah, and I think the thing that has impressed me about the Silver Ferns team, the stats that have come out. They're leading the intercept stats, 41 intercepts, 56 deflections, 31 rebounds. So defensively, they are coming up with a truckload of ball, and that is coming from that full team effort, which is something they've obviously been working on.
Plenty of locals in at Thiagaraj Stadium here in Delhi. They'll give it the big wave when they see themselves on the big screen. But the people who you can't see in the crowd are all of the English and New Zealand supporters who are side by side in one of the big stands. So we can expect a good atmosphere in, and we can expect a bit of a racket. And I do have to say, Tanya, that there's going to be more New Zealanders than English.
I think you might be right there, and there's some of our crazy fans. Oh!
Yep, no shortage of enthusiasm in the crowds here, that's for sure. So this is Thiagaraj Stadium in Delhi, New Zealand, getting set for its most important pool match against England. And the starting seven, well, Irene van Dijk combines with Tutayer, Tima Para-George, the talking point in this team. Langman, Henry, Casey Williams combining with Katrina Grant and former Silver Fern Tanya Dalton. How important the re-injection of Tima Para-George?
Oh, I think for her, you know, she's an inspiration. It's fantastic to see her out on court. You know, she struggled with that inner ear, so great to see.
For England, the talking point really, Jo Harton gets the start at goal shoot, and no co-captain Karen Atkinson.
Well, that just shows, you know, it comes down to inform. She's obviously not up to it. Tamsin Greenway, yeah, she gets the nod, and it'll be interesting to see how she goes.
So expect the injection of co-captain Karen Atkinson at either wing attack or centre through the game, as we get set for the start of the Silver Ferns' most important match of these Commonwealth Games so far. It's the world number 2 in New Zealand against the world number 3 in England, and it's going to be a doozy, so you hold tight. Jade Clark we've seen in the colours of Waikato Bay of Plenty Magic. New Zealand versus England. We're getting set for the start at Thiagaraj Stadium. Such a crucial match for the Silver Ferns as they continue in their defence of Commonwealth Games gold. Laura Langman gets proceedings underway. Tutayer wing attack side. Tima Para-George, her first touch of the ball at these Commonwealth Games. What a bomb.
And already that vision straight into Van Dijk.
And an easy one first up for New Zealand. How will England go? Harton wide and out of the circle.
And look to Harton and Cookie to mix it up over that goal third.
Trying the screen, the English, but you can't do that against this Silver Ferns defensive combination. Held ball. Misunderstanding, so a little bit of a waste of bonus possession from the Ferns. Henry penalised.
And players probably a little bit anxious, just want to settle into their rhythm.
Casey Williams just called for a bit of a knock with her away hand. And Cookie settles for England. One apiece. Oh, George, stunning feed and the offload. Good control, Irene van Dijk.
And already, again, George, that vision, looking long, over the mess.
Bayman uses Clark, but Temepara George a hand to it. And Maggie Jackson, the English coach for these Commonwealth Games in the absence of Sue Hawkins, not here for personal reasons. Bayman finds Cookie.
Katrina Grant hunting, and this is the beauty about this combination, Williams and Grant. Grant comes all the way out. Williams covering her back.
Greenway this time. Obstruction called, so the Kiwi defence really needing to pull their distance back. Harton, a settler for her, just 21 years old, so it was touch and go whether she'd get the start for this. And Williams, she'd passed it before she'd even caught it, so a turnover for England. Yeah, you notice the reintroduction of Temepara George. She just hassles constantly on defence. As Clark finds Greenway through the middle.
Harton and Cookie sitting quite tight and together, then trying to split it.
And that takes England into the lead with the centre pass.
And Harton getting free rein there, coming out wide from the centre pass.
Doing a good job so far as the young English shooter. Cookie recovers nicely and they use the angles.
Harton using that front space.
England a 2-goal buffer, and New Zealand just taking their time to settle into their work. Good safe pass, and Tutaia takes the easy option.
Oh, beautiful pressure there from Henry, forcing their attackers to have to go wide.
And it's one of the things that we've seen the Silver Ferns practicing in their easier pool matches so far, that sliding defence on the transverse line at centre pass time.
And with both George and Tutaia staying tight on the Goldie and the Windy.
Van Dijk makes it look easy. So 4 apiece, we're goal for goal so far.
And here we have George taking the whole line on the centre pass. Tutaia dropping back.
McCloma has a good jump. Her defence of the shot with those long limbs is amazing sometimes. Greenway now uses McCloma, who gets a bit tangled. And Cookie given the freedom. Katrina Grant out on the goal defence side, so expect the Kiwi defenders to hunt for intercepts. It's another formation that we've observed so far in these games. So some pretty strict rulings down that end of the court, and there's the first rebound of the match. That goes the way of Katrina Grant and the Silver Ferns. George up high, finds Langman. Patient feeding Silver Ferns, and good finishing Tutaia.
Tutaia going at 82% in this tournament. It's Commonwealth Games.
So it's seesawed, even though it's early days. Now it's New Zealand who hold the 2-goal buffer, and Van Dijk will make it 3.
And when George gets that centre pass on that first phase, she seems to be having an easy passage, looking into Van Dijk.
Bayman the give and get. And not too much trouble on attack, this English combination. They're working the angles really smoothly. She'll swing it. And they try the screen. They've tried that a couple of times, and we've seen it in their earlier pool matches, but it's not going to work against Williams and Grant. Williams snaffles one.
And there they are, Sonia McCloma. Those arms seem to go on and on forever.
Such an athletic player too, McCloma. She certainly makes the most of it. Oh, Langman beautifully seen.
Oh.
And super control, Ferns. They reset.
That's pretty torrid in that circle, and that was probably the right idea for Langman. Reset to Henry.
You just wonder how she does it sometimes. Van Dijk turned herself inside out like she was made of a pipe cleaner. Oh, George looks for the big one, and it goes to no man's land. Probably take a while for Temepara George to settle into her game today. She sat out the first 2 games with a bit of an inner ear problem,
which I guess we all know affects your balance. So, yeah, she'll want to settle in this first quarter. Already we've seen some unbelievable, simple feeds to Van Dijk, and that's probably one of her strengths.
And distance called again. So once again, the New Zealand defence just needing to bring it back a bit if they're to have more impact on defence. Halfway through the first quarter now, 8-5, New Zealand lead England. Another turnover for the Ferns. Grant will take the throw in. Jade Clark disagrees. That's a defender's prerogative. And Temepara George, circle edge. That dribbled off the fingertips of Sonia McCloma, so another chance for New Zealand. Pretty unorthodox. Tutaia takes the throw in from the sideline.
I think it was marginal whose throw-in it was, so
grab it and take it.
If in doubt, look confident. Oh, nice switch there, Van Dijk doing the roll around. We're so used to seeing Tutaia taking that front cut.
That's a way to get through tight defence, isn't it? Nothing but net. And a breaking call at the defensive end, so a bit of a sloppy error from New Zealand. Hands to it again. It looked like it was going to be a sensational feed from the English. George high on the goal attack side this time, tries it on, but it wasn't.
Yeah, just a few stray passes. Oh, Cookie had an unbelievable drive there on the baseline. No one saw her.
She's camped out on the baseline though, is Cookie, and she'll finish. Well, why couldn't you get that, Laura Langman? Just a clean intercept, Katrina Grant. Lovely timing, good front position on Harton. And within 3 passes, it's down the other end. Call goes against New Zealand though. So the throw in to the English. 5 minutes remaining, first quarter. 9-6, New Zealand leading England. The world number 2 in New Zealand against the world number 3 in England. Greenway swings it again.
Again, Harton and Cookie sitting in tight together, trying to work off each other.
And lovely finishing, Jo Harton. Good tight and torrid defence from England. Temepara George really taking her time to settle, but anything you can do, I can do better. Brilliant, Casey Williams. George in the pocket. There's been a bit of talk about the bouncy rings here, unless it's in smoothly. It does tend to topple out. Greenway now for England.
A nice patient attack from this English side. Bring it through.
And an easy feed in, well seen by Tamsin Greenway. That brings it back to within one, just under 3.5 minutes left till quarter time, and the English pass. So the New Zealanders had a small amount of ascendancy and have let it slip. Stray ball, New Zealand throw-in. No, offside called Jolene Henry. Must have just had a toe over the line.
And Cookie looks like she's been pulled there, marched up.
Yeah. Don't talk back to umpires.
Again, just another stray pass. Just seems to be around this attacking transverse line. The links between the feeders and the shooters.
And you do have to wonder whether perhaps Temepara George still feeling a little woozy. Jade Clark penalised. And a good easy pass into the pocket from Laura Langman. So better angles, New Zealand.
Langman and George happy to play it around the circle edge.
Great defence from the English combination.
And the switching going on in there between Macomber and Mentor. They won't get away with that one.
Van Dijk finishes.
Katrina Grant sitting quite high.
And on the goal defence side, so the switching of sides between Grant and Williams is really effective. And that was smooth and easy for the Ferns.
Nice timing from Van Dijk there.
New Zealand centre pass. The margin just 2 going into the final minute of this first quarter. A breaking though, Temepara George. So same deal, Tanya. They get a bit of a run and then let the English back in.
Yeah, they'll be wanting to put the foot down when they can. 7 errors for the Silver Ferns. Pretty high. They'll want to rectify this in the next quarter.
Defence contact, damage offside. Damage offside, centre. Instruction goal defence.
Pull under pressure, Pamela Cookie, and now the English pass. Greenway quick on her feet. Hand to it, Williams. It's deemed to have come off Pamela Cookie.
And the Ferns will want to score this heading into the second quarter. They probably didn't need to rush it like that.
And that will bring a close to the first quarter of this match between New Zealand's Silver Ferns and England. It's been a goal for goal one. New Zealand got 4 ahead at one point, but they've let the English back in and they'll go to the quarter break. 11-10. It's the Silver Ferns, 1 goal over England. Thiagaraj Stadium in New Delhi, where the Silver Ferns are facing their toughest match of these Commonwealth Games so far. It's quarter time and they lead England 11-10. It's a tough, it's a tight, it's a torrid encounter. There's plenty of New Zealand supporters here. And throughout that first quarter, New Zealand did lead by 4 goals, only to let that advantage slip. It's a tough challenge ahead then in this second spell. 11-10 New Zealand lead. Their old foes, England, such a bogey team for the Silver Ferns side. The second spell is underway. Laura Langman gets it underway, and former Fern Tanya Dalton. How'd you read that first spell?
Wow, for the Silver Ferns, 8 turnovers, and a lot of them pretty soft. And I guess quite a number of them came from Temapara George. I guess her first game out there, she just was a bit sloppy at the placement of the pass. So look for the improvement in this quarter.
Greenway almost the held ball. Good pressure defence, but Cookie and Harton combining really nicely so far. There would have been harsh words said by the Silver Ferns coach Ruth Aiken at half-time. I had one netball fan say to me they felt that Ruth smiled too much, but both you and I have been coached by her, and when she needs to say the tough words, she might say them with a smile on her face, and boy, you listen, don't you?
Yeah, and I didn't see her smile at that quarter break, so I think defensively we're coming up with some good ball. It seems to be our links between our mid-court into our attacking third.
Cookie finishes, and that's why Jade Clark a hand to it. So good scavenging by the English defence. Langman looks for the big one in, but there's not enough on it, and the long arms of Sonia McCloma gather.
And I guess this is what I was talking about, the from the mid-court into this goal third. I wonder if the likes of Taie needs to punch out the top, open it up.
Greenway's nestled in the pocket, and Jolene Henry gets a hand to it, and you're right, not a smile at all on the face of the Silver Ferns coach Ruth Aiken. Harton on the baseline. She's having a fine shooting game as the 21-year-old. Jo Harton plays for the Loughborough Club. Oh, Katrina Grant just snaffled it. Good timing and good footwork.
Let's see what the Silver Ferns can do with this ball.
They swing it.
Advantage contact in defence.
And a real difference in the umpiring from end to end. Much closer distance being called at the end that we're looking at on our screens now. So that's a real challenge for the defenders, having to adjust end to end. And Temapara George called for contact this time, so this is her first match of these Commonwealth Games, and she's really just taking her time to get back into the groove of things. Bayman for England. Great defence, George. Oh, wow. Sometimes words can't describe Casey Williams. That was precision, execution.
And they're pushing them wide. McCloma saying, anything you can do?
Throw in on the baseline. And good vision. Take a look at this, Tanya. Simply beautiful. Poetry in motion, Casey Williams. Harton out of the circle. And good basic stuff from this English attacking combination.
And the overload from the Silver Ferns from that centre pass. And Henry taking out the signage.
Yeah, good retrieval, but crikey.
Just struggling on attack. Timing's just not quite there yet.
Henry will try again. It's been a very unorthodox procession through court, Silver Ferns. George in the pocket now, though.
Advantage center
Great fake, Laura Langman pretended she was passing to Maria Tutayer, and the bomb across to Irene van Dijk. So good stuff from the Ferns. 10 minutes left until half-time. 15-13 the score as England penetrate easily.
Sensational vision there from Bayman.
And again, just the out-of-sorts links on the transverse line for New Zealand. So this gives England a chance to equalise.
Williams, hungry, going for everything. Unlucky there. Let's see what the English shooters do here. They're in tight again, trying to split it.
And she's very elusive on the baseline, Pamela Cookie. That'll bring the English even with the centre pass. 15 apiece, 9 minutes left until half-time. We've got a doozy on our hands.
Oh, beautiful pick-up from Cookie.
Thought for a moment we were at the gymnastics.
And this lady, 21-year-old Jo Harton, has impressed me.
Let's see what you give this for points, Tanya. Oh, 9.9.
9.95.
So England in the lead, 16-15, 8.5 minutes remaining until half-time.
George having to look back on that transverse. I wonder if sometimes she may need to wait to just that 3rd second because the spaces are opening up.
Another misunderstanding and miscommunication. And England just get a sniff.
And the English feeders having to pass it over wide.
Two-arm lean from Casey Williams, but Harton's good for it. Pamela Cookie, but it's stray. Jolene Henry, though, will be called for offside. Danced through the top of the circle. And obstruction called. It takes the English out to 3 goals with 7 minutes left until half-time. So some inroads to be made by the Silver Ferns before we head to the big break in the game.
Better urgency from Tutayer. Rolling that circle with speed.
And super finishing.
Harton out wide.
And she's having a boomer of a shooting game as Jo Harton. Well, the English might have looked lacklustre in their 2 pool games so far, Tanya, but not so today. And that's the thing about a tournament like this. A one-off performance.
They've certainly come out. They're playing with urgency. Their attacking is firing, you'd say.
With both cylinders.
And defensively, they're picking up some beautiful ball from the Silver Ferns.
Sonia McCloma has a laugh. Yes, I do realise I can't stand right on Irene van Dijk with my arm in the air.
I'm sure she's had it plenty of times before.
So Tutayer will set the penalty. And she'll offload. Lovely space held by van Dijk. Harton, yeah, free gift, good pressure from Jolene Henry. And Jo Harton just off balance throwing. So there's 1 back for New Zealand, 2 in it Just over 5 minutes remaining until half-time. 19-17. But it's the women wearing the red dresses with the splashes of gold who lead the Silver Ferns, the defending Commonwealth Games champions.
And a goal there for Jolene Henry. Beautiful pickup.
And the shooting stats so far for this match. England shooting at 95%, New Zealand at 90%. So some high caliber numbers.
And I guess for the English side, this was the end that I thought was marginal. But they're certainly fronting up and delivering today.
As is Maria Tutayer. This is her 49th Test cap today, Tutayer, and she's just 23 years old. Oh, Cookie charges into the circle. Good ball speed, good driving, and great rebounding. Throw into England.
Henry all over Greenway.
And the woman, Pamela Cookie, who you see on your screen, having an absolutely fine game for England at goal attack. Williams now. And the Ferns just play it around. Contact called against Irene van Dijk. A little bit of a lottery down there. Oh, and Williams out hunting.
She's all right, she's tough.
She likes to take a tumble. Cookie on the wing attack side. So the English stacked on the wing attack side. They swing it. Oh, brilliant.
They're lovely hands.
Ooh, just about took out the umpire, Casey Williams. 21-19, the English leading New Zealand with the centre pass. And you wonder, this combination's been given a half, Tanya. Silver Ferns coach Ruth Aiken, will she make changes? Would you?
I think defensively I'd leave it as is, or maybe Anna Scarlett, inject her into the game down the attacking end. I think something needs to change, and it could be in that wing attack position. George has struggled a bit in this first half. The timing just seems to be a little bit out.
Well, she has been under par. She's been sick. She hasn't played the first 2 games, so you can certainly forgive her for having a flat day at the office.
And an inner ear problem is not nice.
Well, it changes everything, doesn't it? It makes everything so out of kilter. And we just saw Tima Para pop one out the back door. The held ball, though, will give the Silver Ferns a second go at it. Tutayer sets and scores.
Before the game, we talked about this lady, Maria Tutayer, how she needed to front up, and she is putting those shots in beautifully.
And defensively, just can't pick up the scraps, New Zealand. And in the end, it's pretty easy. England out to 3. Langman steps around her player, great skills. And Van Dijk, what a champion. She's had such an amazing tournament so far.
And Langman pressuring on the top of the circle.
And the English just really getting the rub of the green. Any loose ball going the way of their players.
The thing that's impressing me about this English side is their patience on attack.
Van Dijk sets the penalty, she scores, and that will be the last roll of the dice in the first half. Spirits are still up in New Zealand colours, but on the scoreboard, they trail their arch foes England by 22 to 24, so a 2-goal buffer for the world number 3 England over the world number 2 New Zealand. And Tanya Dalton, not at all to expectation.
No, and the Silver Ferns, you know, this was always going to be a tough encounter, and they probably would have expected that it was going to be tight at half-time. I think it's their links from the mid-court into that attacking end just don't seem to be quite happening. The timing's a little bit out. I think defensively we're picking up some good ball right throughout the court, but it's just, you know, that finishing off, scoring from those turnovers. And I wonder if a change needs to be made in that attacking end.
When you talk about a change that might need to be made, Tima Para-George has had a flat performance so far. Tough times for her as we look at the numbers. And it's just even Stevens everywhere.
It is, and you look, I think the thing is 13 turnovers for the Silver Ferns in a half. They won't be happy with that. You can see there, they're coming up with the intercepts. We're leading the intercepts 6-3, the amount of deflections, but we talked about in that second quarter, you know, the English seem to be quick to that loose ball. They're picking up all the scraps, and that's where we know the Silver Ferns need to pick up.
So if you were to make changes, Tanya, going into this second spell, what would they be?
I think Liana Barrett-Chase, we know she can come on. She's an impact player. We've seen her in the first 2 games. She's settled in. Her feeding into the circle has been outstanding. I think we just need to change up those feeding. I think Langman is controlling it through the mid-court. Down the defensive end, Cocky and Joe Harden, they're just starting to grow in confidence. Maybe throw a Scarlett in there. She's one of those players that'll just get into your head, you know, that nuggety sort of type player. So I wonder if that change may be made.
Well, there's the big gaggle of New Zealand supporters in the stands for the Silver Ferns match against England. Maybe they need to start making a bit of a racket too to help the Silver Ferns team along, because as we head off to the break before 3/4 time, it's the New Zealanders who are in arrears. England leading this one at half-time 24 to 22. Standing by for the start of the third quarter at Tiagaraj Netball Stadium in Delhi, where the scoreboard's not as we expected for the Silver Ferns. Tanya Dalton, it's England who lead the Silver Ferns in this all-important pool match 24 to 22. So we're expecting changes in the black dress for this third spell.
Without doubt, not the start we were looking for the Silver Ferns. I think, look, they're picking up plenty of ball. We're not scoring off our turnovers. I think we've let away too many loose balls. Just that placement of pass. I think I've talked about it, the links between the midcourt and the attacking end. In terms of shooting percentages, yeah, when we get it into the circle, they're going through the hoop. But it's just the whole timing of that attacking end.
In recent times, England have been a real bogey team for New Zealand, but just crunching those numbers again, they've faced off 71 times, and England has just 3 wins. It's just that 2 of those 3 wins have been over the last 5 times they played, and the last time they played, it went to extra time. So they are a bogey team for New Zealand.
They are, and you know, they've come into this Commonwealth Games, they're confident. We caught up with them prior to the start. They seem pretty cocky, pretty cagey about what they're doing. The players know the Silver Ferns well. They've come here, they don't want to settle for a bronze, they want gold. And you know, I talked about the splashes of it on their dress. They're certainly out there today. They're playing with confidence down their attack end. That's concerning me. Pamela Cookie, Joe Harton, they're starting to let it go, and they're putting the balls through the hoop, and you know, you can see it on their faces. That's where we've got to start getting into their head for the Silver Ferns, and you know, really break down that free flow game of the English side.
How good is it to have a close game in pool play at a major tournament? Because at World Champs, with four pools at World Champs, 2 pools here, you get these close matches. It's fantastic, isn't it?
Well, the Silver Ferns, you know, same with the English side. It's probably been an 18-month campaign. This is what they've trained for. This means so much to them, to come out of their pool on top. Otherwise, it makes the road to, you know, winning that gold so much harder. So it's certainly not time to hit the panic button for the Silver Ferns. They're only down 2 at half-time. They knew this was going to be a close encounter. This is the important quarter, the 3rd quarter, and I guess it'll be interesting to see what changes Coach Ruth Aitken makes.
Well, in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you'll see the Silver Ferns re-entering the main arena for the resumption of play in this second half. And a bit of confusion because Liana Barrett-Chase and Temepara George are both wearing a wing attack bib. So we'll be standing by to see whether or not a change has been made by the Silver Ferns coach, Ruth Aitken. And for England, well, they're looking cohesive, they're looking steely. They're looking like they have a sniff of an upset.
The English side, they've worked hard, they've beaten the Australian side this year. They've, you know, like we talked about, they've had some good wins against New Zealand over the past couple of years, so they're feeling good. They've come into this Commonwealth Games, they want gold. And, you know, going into half-time, who would have thought they'd be up by 2? Maybe they thought, but yeah, they've certainly started strong.
Well, the last outing we saw England play was against South Africa, and it took them 3/4 of the match to pull away. They looked nothing short of sluggish.
Which may in turn have worked in their favour. They've come into, you know, this pool match with a bit of a tougher game against South Africa. We came off, you know, 2 pretty easy wins against Papua New Guinea and Cook Islands. So for the Silver Ferns, first tough match here.
And we can confirm the change, Liana Barrett-Chase on the court replacing Temepara George. So an injection of some fresh legs at wing attack for New Zealand for this second half. The 3rd quarter, the championship quarter, many call it, underway here at Tiagaraj Stadium in Delhi. Massively important match for both of these sides. The defending Commonwealth Games champions, the Silver Ferns, up against England. World number 3, England. World number 2, New Zealand. So much at stake.
And screen set up by Pamela Cookie.
And Joe Harton just keeps on keeping on. England out to 3, early days, 3rd quarter. And Barrett-Chase quickly into her work.
And in that passage of play, Barrett-Chase touching the ball about 4 times, just easing it in. Nothing silly.
The sliding defence on the centre pass effective for New Zealand, but Barrett-Chase gave it the hip.
Both shooters, Harton and Cookie.
Offside, Jolene Henry, she does all she can to stay onside. Takes a tumble. Oh, and to be fair, she wasn't penalised. It was just an offside call. Harton will have a go. It's off this time. And Pamela Cookie will be penalised. A lot of whistle at this end of the court. Langman. Looks long, finds Barrett Chase, goal attack side. She goes again.
Yeah, passing her, cutting her way to the top of that circle.
Langman does work to make the pocket. And Tutaia, careful to set the penalty in the right place. You don't want to lose the opportunity. Swarming England, arms over everything. One back for New Zealand and the centre pass, Barrett Chase. And Tutaia works the top of the circle, so she's doing a terrific amount off the ball. Even gets her own rebound, flicks it back into Van Dijk.
Oh, Jade Clark, nice.
Stunning individual defence. And Cookie, a torrid drive. Lovely hands-on pressure, Jade Clark. And the progress into that English shooting circle, you'd have to say just too easy.
Second shot that the English shooters have missed, so...
It was a magnificent defence of the shot. Barrett Chase again, the pocket rockets come on strongly. Throw in New Zealand.
Again, getting a touch to the ball.
Well, we're so familiar with Jade Clark now, aren't we? She had a fantastic tail-end season in the ANZ Championships for the Waikato Bay of Plenty Magic. Hand to it, Mentor this time. And Macloma penalised for distance. Now the margin, just one, and the Silver Ferns, the centre pass. Off the hands of Sarah Bayman, so throw in to the Silver Ferns. And a really nicely weighted pass from Langman.
Yeah, over the top of Mentor.
I heard you inhale, Tanya Dalton. But they were the types of passes that weren't coming off for the Silver Ferns in the first half. Cookie now almost held ball. The English work it around. They've done so brilliantly all day.
A little up to go back for Pamela Cookie.
And another rebound scrap for New Zealand. So momentum swinging ever so slightly the way of the Silver Ferns early in this third spell.
Williams and Grant snaffling those rebounds.
Long angles, New Zealand, offside the call, so Tutaia sets inside the circle. What a rebound.
And I guess that's the difference for the Silver Ferns. When they miss, they're getting their rebounds. And when the English are missing, Williams and Grant are onto it.
Yeah, great defensive rebound positioning. And it's all where you plant your body on defence, isn't it? So New Zealand nudge ahead by one, but again, let the English have a sniff back in. Perfect holding of a space. Pamela Cookie, take a bow. Every goal attack aspires to play those sorts of plays. And again.
Part and effect of it. You know, drawing out her defender, Grant going with her, leaving Cookie free as a bird.
She needs to finish though. Okay, that was deemed that she jumped in from out of court. So the throw-in will go the way of the English.
And Grant and Williams have got them squeezed in.
So we're tit for tat. The English now sneak ahead, and Macloma Perfect timing, as to Henry.
Too easy for McCloma, that one.
All alone, Irene van Dijk waves her arms around and the bullet goes in. Everyone just seems to be ignoring the player lying on the ground. Time's now being called. And she was taken out by Katrina Grant, who was out hunting.
Was on the charge. Grant
Doesn't look to be too much in it.
Grant didn't really have time to stop and chat. She was back on duty.
It's a pretty firm floor, the floor here at Tiagaraj Stadium. Although the players have given it the thumbs up, they say it's a good playing surface. I don't know whether Tams and Greenway would agree at the moment after making contact.
She's tested it out. A player who, you know, has, looking at the quarter time scores, that second quarter for England, a goodie. At halftime, when they last met in October, the Ferns led 30-26.
And on that occasion, it went to extra time. So, gee, you know, we've just come to expect mighty old clashes in recent times between these two sides. Tams and Greenway up and at 'em.
For some, maybe she was a surprise start with Karen Atkinson on the sideline, co-captain.
Halfway through the third quarter, Tiagaraj Stadium in New Delhi, New Zealand up against England. Subtle timing from Liana Barrett-Chase. She knows how to spot those gaps.
And Van Dijk yanking that ball down there.
And umpire's time called because Maria Tute has just lost her bib. He couldn't get a closer match. Bayman uses Cookie on the wing attack side this time. And it's Katrina Grant hunting on the goal defence side this time. They'll look for the intercept, but the English have done just a fine job of looking over the top of this New Zealand defensive combination.
And again, the English players just in the right place at the right time.
And being patient enough to work the ball around to look to fire those passes in. Bayman, the simple pass into Pamela Cookie.
And Cookie taking charge in that attacking end.
And we're pretty familiar with Pamela Cookie as a player. She wore the colours of the Northern Mystics in the ANZ Championship. And at home she plays for the Bath Super League champion side. So she's a player with massive experience. Tutaia, she's on song with her shooting today.
Williams dropping back on that centre pass. Giving Grant the ability to hunt.
It's always a danger against a player like Pamela Cookie, though, because she's so elusive.
And it's a change of pace. She can go from cruise mode to
full speed ahead in the blink of an eye. More urgency on attack from the Silver Ferns this time. 5.5 minutes now until three-quarter time. Henry charges.
oh, Henry. You can just see the passion out on the court. Players going for everything.
And the difference in this quarter, there's just a whole lot more options on attack for New Zealand.
And I'd say more patience, nothing silly.
And as a result, fewer turnovers. Tangle of limbs, close proximity in that circle. Tutaia though, cool as a cucumber. Harton out of the circle, we don't see this often. In contact against Henry. Stunning lean Casey Williams, but the 21-year-old English goal shoot, Joe Harton, has just had a blinder of a game so far. Well, I think the Silver Ferns will breathe a sigh of relief because they really squandered their own centre pass. Now, a bit of a chance for redemption. And I think Laura Langman knew that was never on over...
I don't think she ever wanted to give it, but
over the heads and hands of two English defenders.
Got to the third second and...
It's like the never-ending goal. Finally, though, Joe Harton. And you saw Pamela Cookie turning to her team saying, just settle down.
I think probably both teams needed to then.
Back to even. 3 minutes until three-quarter time. 33 all. Looking over the mess, and Langman will reset. Uses Henry on the transverse line. And a good swarming defence. Jade Clark blocking the hot spot at the head of the circle. Good pass, Langman.
Yeah, and again, Barrett Chase passing and cutting, hitting that top of the circle. Oh, and if the cameraman's all right.
Dodgems. Well, one of the features of the coverage here, Tanya, is that in-post camera. Oh, as the Silver Ferns, again, just a bit of a botch up. Greenway at the head of the circle, uses Bangman in the pocket.
Harton right out of the circle. But this seems to be their game plan. They're moving the circle.
Casey Williams, the Silver Ferns captain, just getting a little frustrated at the number of calls going against them at this end of the court, but that's netball. And we're still goal for goal, a minute and a half left until three-quarter time, 34 apiece. So Harton comes up short, but Pamela Cookie, great positioning for the rebound. And all Williams can do is tap it out.
Nice little roll away from Harton.
And distance again.
And this is where Silver Fern defenders will need to adjust. You don't want to give away free shots.
See the in-circle jostling, so much going on. And it's Katrina Grant who's penalised. And at last, England convert. Patience from the Silver Ferns, but English hands swarming.
Tutaia just guilty of taking your eyes off the ball. Simple stuff.
through a third, so the ball must be touched in every third of the court.
Van Dijk pulled. She's given herself good room.
Three-quarter time here at Tiagaraj Stadium. It's a tense match between England and the defending champion, Silver Ferns. And when we come back for fourth quarter action, it'll be England who are in the lead because they're ahead of New Zealand by just the one goal as we head to the break, 35-34. The fourth quarter underway in this decisive pool match between New Zealand Silver Ferns and England. And it's England who lead by just one goal, 35-34. But former Fern Tanya Dalton, they're on fire.
They are, and this is it. This is a massive quarter. This means so much for both these sides in this pool play. England playing with confidence. This is going to come down to who wants it the most.
And surprise, surprise, no changes in the Silver Ferns team. Coach Ruth Aiken wants her side to push through. A change in England colours though. Co-captain Karen Atkinson injected into the match at wing attack.
And Tutaia going for safety over to Van Dijk. She won't miss from here.
She won't miss from here. Thank you, Tanya.
Must have heard me.
Nice smile on the dial from Irene Van Dijk. And the Ferns creep ahead by just one. It's almost a professional foul when you dance through the circle like that, but no ill intent at all from Jolene Henry. Cookie will set for offside, and Katrina Grant a hand to it.
A nice setup there from Grant, blocking off that pass to the top of the circle.
And this gaggle of Kiwi supporters gets the chant going. Laura Langman stretches to take it, and they swing it. Pretty star-studded New Zealand crowd for a netball game. Just a glimpse there of Barry Meister and a number of other New Zealand officials. And suddenly the Silver Ferns start to look rampant. Dare I speak too soon? Takes them out to 3.
This is exactly the start they will have wanted in this last quarter.
Cookie has toiled all day. She uses her co-captain, Karen Atkinson.
It's up with a smile on her face.
And just time called to wipe the perspiration from the court. Because these two, I think you'd call that entwined.
And big shot here. For Jo Houghton, can't sink it.
It's a lot of pressure for a 21-year-old. She's come up good so far, without doubt.
And Silver Ferns happy to play it around. Scoring off these turnovers will be there. What they want to achieve.
And a good second pass from Laura Langman. Waited just long enough for things to open up.
Garrett Chase, I'm sure thinking about putting that bomb into Van Dijk.
Instead, it's Maria Tutaia who does. And down this end of the court, well, it's pretty challenging for defenders, not much room to move. Tutaia, big deep breath, but it's around the edge of the rim, deemed to be off the fingertips of Jiva Mentor. Lucky to not get the held ball call. Patience required this time. Sizzling pressure from the English defensive combination.
And Ferns just waiting for the opening. And then
the call goes against Tutaia, so bit of a lottery.
Cookie moving that ball at speed.
Big defensive shot again, Casey Williams, but Joe Harton strong under pressure this time.
That's where Cookie's so dangerous.
And take a bow, Joe Harton. I don't know anyone who could have shot over that. Back to 2. Just under 10 minutes remaining in this match. 39-37. Right through this match, apart from a brief spell in the first quarter, it's been England who've had the lead.
So what England can do, Williams penalised out wide.
And Harton just couldn't pull that one in. It was a pretty good pass.
You can just see the intensity has lifted a notch.
As it needed to. Takes it out to 41-37 with the centre pass. Strong jump, Jiva Mentor, but Maria Tutaia not bothered.
New Zealand shooting at 88%, England 79%.
And Tanya, the injection for England of Karen Atkinson, you wonder, England had dominated this match until three-quarter time. And you do wonder about the wisdom in that change.
It's always a pretty big call for a coach in a tight match, final quarter.
Calls are plenty. And Joe Harton comes up short off the fingertips of Casey Williams, though. So the English will have another crack.
And this is where I always thought England were vulnerable in this attacking end. Shooters can be rattled and showing cracks at the moment.
It's the halfway mark in the fourth spell. And New Zealand ahead 42-38, so just a 4-goal cushion against a team which really has caused them some trouble in recent times, England. Just clarifying where the infringement needed to be set, and that's so important to do, because if you don't set the penalty in the right place, you turn the ball over, which happens anyway. Jolene Henry, though, makes amends. And Sonia Makloma, she'll be frustrated with that call because it was just about the perfect defence of the shot. So a bit of a messy stanza of play. This will be third time lucky, will it, for New Zealand? Let's see. Good baseline pop from Irene van Dijk. Hands everywhere. goal a result of this. Great timing, good hunting, Jolene Henry. Karen Atkinson busy on attack.
And Cookie just trying to mix it up, move that ball around.
And just a difference in strategy from Katrina Grant and Casey Williams this quarter. They're really stacking the pressure on Jo Harton. Double teaming her as the ball's entering the goal third and making those options much fuzzier, if you like, for the England attacking combination.
And making it so much easier for them as Langman and Henry, just that constant one-on-one pressure.
And there it is. It was almost inevitable.
Henry, impressive. Pays off.
With a 5-goal advantage, the Silver Ferns have all the time in the world. They didn't need to squander it. Atkinson and Sonia McClymar exchange. They're the co-captains of England as Casey Williams flies through the air. I think she frightened Karen Atkinson into not catching the ball. So another turnover.
And McClymar looking at that.
And that's out the back door.
Again, just a couple of misplaced passes from the Ferns.
4.5 minutes left to run down now. 43-38, the Silver Ferns lead, but it's England in possession. Cookie and Atkinson have exchanged well since the injection of Karen Atkinson into the fourth quarter. Tense times for the Silver Ferns coach Ruth Aiken. I bet she hates watching a team play England. Almost as much as the rivalry with Australia. Katrina Grant has a lie down but comes up with the ball.
And one of Grant's strengths is the balls coming in low.
I wonder if you're allowed to officially play the ball on the ground, though. I'm not sure. Still, this is the result, and it's a good one for New Zealand. Contact called. Harton out of the circle. She looks pretty uncertain when she's out of the circle and delivers, well, an inaccurate pass really to force the offside.
Ferns will want to finish this.
Well, with just over 3 minutes remaining, this is just such a crucial chapter of the game. Tutaia, though, sure and steady, as she has been all day, the 23-year-old goal attack. And just a real difference in those shooting stats numbers now. 86 New Zealand running at 78 England.
And the England side, they seem to have been finding Jo Harton so easily in those first 3 quarters. They've just lost their way down that attacking end.
And a good old-fashioned triangle. Van Dijk will be happy to pick up her own rebound. Creeps them out to 7. New Zealand leading England in the dying stages of this match, but a lot can happen in 2 minutes, Tanya. Cookie, brilliant.
A nice ball placement there from Harton.
This English side know that it is now or never. Expect this defensive combination to throw everything at it.
Well, Van Dijk gets the ball away. You can't pass the ball when you're sitting on your butt, so she's in the squat position.
Tutaia hasn't buckled one iota under pressure.
And for the Ferns, you know, they always knew this is going to be a tough challenge. And it has proven to be.
Has it? What a game.
To their credit, they've pushed on. It's ebbed and flowed.
Well, at three-quarter time, Tanya, it was the English in the lead, 35-34, so this fourth quarter's secured it for them. And Van Dijk, she really has brought the full bag of tricks today. She's done everything. Dodges, up to go back, rolls, holds.
Well, pretty much when the ball has gone into our circle, it's been finished off. I guess it was earlier on, it was just those links.
Some of the Sevens boys here. We saw Coach Gordon Titchens there with some of his lads. So it's brilliant to see some of the other Kiwi athletes here to support the Silver Ferns. McCloma now uses Atkinson. And Harton might be too little, too late.
Fantastic ball carry there from Langman.
And she's going to have a go right from the outer reaches. Thank you, eyes, I think Maria Tutaia will be saying. But no, the turnover anyway. England hands mess it up.
Oh, sensational take there from Harton. Big match for her today.
Full time, Tiagaraj Stadium in Delhi, and New Zealand has prevailed over their arch foes, England. It was the most important pool match of this Commonwealth Games for the Silver Ferns, and they've done it, 47-41 over England. They trailed at three-quarter time. They were one behind the English. This has been a sensational fourth quarter, Tanya.
It has been. They came out, like you said, they were down at three-quarter time, but they came out, they used the ball, they were steady, they wanted it bad, and I said this was going to come down to who wants it the most. The Ferns proved to themselves that they have the ability to, take it to that next level.
For England, well, they surprised us. They've looked flat in both of their games so far, very ordinary against South Africa in their last outing. They stepped it up a notch today.
They did, and you saw them. They got a sniff. They started to grow in confidence down their attacking end. They were letting the ball go. Cookie was in charge there, but this says it all. I guess the one thing, the shooting, the English shooters, they went off a bit in that last quarter, but the deflections, the intercepts, we were up on there. And the rebounds, we were solid on there, whether we were on attack or on defence, which made a huge difference.
Well, as you mentioned, the shooting numbers in the end, pretty decisive, 82 plays 77, and Jo Harton, she had a really solid game throughout, but at crunch junctions, she just missed a couple that really could have made all the difference in the dying stages of that fourth quarter. For New Zealand, though, in the end, comprehensive enough.
Yeah, I'm sure New Zealand, though, will go to the drawing board and say, hey, this didn't work well, or this was working well. Perfect time for them in their pool match. This has tested them. We've seen some different combinations. George got out on court, and I still don't think she looked quite 100%, but at least she's been out on court down the attacking end. Yeah, those links, it'll be something that they will look to working on. But defensively, I thought the pressure, when we needed it, it certainly came on.
How much will they be going? Few.
Oh, I'm sure they'll be going into the ice bath going, man, didn't know. I think they knew it was going to be tough. It always is against the English side. But, they've worked at it, they pushed through it, and they've pulled away. And, the score, 47-41, so reasonably comfortable in the final quarter.
Well, they showed some fortitude at the tail end of this one, did the Silver Ferns, because throughout the quarters in this all-important pool match for New Zealand, of course, this win elevating them to the top of their pool. Such a decisive encounter. But when it came down to it, well, the Silver Ferns did pull through. They trailed by one at three-quarter time, and they pushed through the fourth spell with a stunning 15-minute performance to dominate England. They'll take the win away with them back to the Commonwealth Games village. The victory has been by 47-41, the Silver Ferns over England.